Oi, Battle. Old 64 here. Let's hit up the shop and do a compression test on my 71 Oldsmobile 98. Let's go ahead and get the battery connected. If we're going to do a compression test, remember, negative first. I'm going to go ahead and hook up a battery charger to it because we're going to be cranking. It's not going to start. Negative to negative, positive to positive. Go ahead and take the air cleaner off because I want to disconnect the distributor so I can crank it with the key, but it's not going to start. It's opposite of the IDI diesel in my truck. So 1, 3, 5, 7. One is on the opposite side for my IDI diesel. You and I will see together, Battle. Of course, if there's a blown head gasket, we've all heard it before. The spark plug gets steam cleaned. Here's number one. It looks sort of sooty. At least it's not steam cleaned. So I'll set these up in order, Battle. Here's number 3. Again, it's sooty. And these are AC Delco R45S's. Generally, I like to keep it simple. No need to get the iridium spark plugs, titanium or whatever, especially for an old overhead valve V8 engine like this 455. In their C heads, Battle. My dad, Olds guy, had a 76 Oldsmobile 98 that was a coupe with the half vinyl top. And I've mentioned before on the forums, that was one of the best cars I've ever driven. And it had J heads on it. And they say that J heads are the smog heads. But and that one had catalytic converters with a smog engine. That was the last year for the 455. But like I've said on the forums, it could have just been, I was young and invincible at the time. So that's what made it the best car I've ever driven. All right, well, there is 1, 3, 5, and 7 from the driver's side. Let's go ahead and go to the passenger side and get out 2, 4, 6, and 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. As I said before, I don't know, in the videos, or I've said it on the forums, I really missed the mark with this car. The AC compressor's gone. I was like, oh yeah, I could go ahead and get an aftermarket AC for it. Anyways, here's another one that looks pretty decent. I thought about running the engine a little bit before I took these spark plugs out, but the engine's stone cold. So we'll do a compression test and then we can squirt a little bit of oil in there and do a follow-up. Here's another one that's good. Only got 2 more, Battle. I don't know if it's a blown head gasket. Will it steam clean the spark plugs just by running for 10 minutes? Well, here's 6, and then put money down. If I was a betting man, I'd say that 8 was going to be pretty normal too, because if the head gasket was blown, there would be 2 next to each other that were steam clean. But we'll see. That's what a compression test is for. Well, it's got a little bit of something on there. A little bit of buildup, but it's not steam cleaned. Here are the spark plugs, Battle. 1, 3, 5, and 7. 2, 4, 6, and 8. They look sort of sooty, nothing steam cleaned. On number 8, I saw this little bit of buildup, but that's the one I dropped to. Maybe it's just the carbon chipped off of it because I dropped it. So let me grab my compression gauge and then we can go ahead and do the compression test. I have it hooked up to number 1 cylinder. It was 148 PSI on the number 1 cylinder. Now I got it attached to the number 3 cylinder and we'll see what it is. Here goes. 128 for number 3. Let's go ahead and do number 5. I think the Schrader valve in my compression gauge is dead because it deflates right away. So it's good that I have the camera and that you're doing it with me. Let's check number 5. All right, Battle, that one was low. Number 5 was only like 93 PSI, so that's way outside of 20% to number 1. So let's test it again, and then we may have to do a wet compression test too. Now, I'm going to call number 5 cylinder 92, so let's go ahead and test number 7 cylinder. So let's go ahead and get ready for number 2 cylinder. Let's get ready for number 4 cylinder, Battle. I'm sorry, Battle, I forgot to tell you, number 2 cylinder is 150 PSI and number 4 cylinder is 148 PSI. So let's see what number 6 cylinder is. Number 6 cylinder was 132 PSI. Let's go ahead and check the last one. I had to go to the auto parts store and rent this compression tester because the little Schrader valve fitting on mine died. When we did the dry compression test, it would automatically leak down and I had to check the video to see what the compression was. Hopefully this one works better. And then hopefully somebody knows of this fitting that I can buy separately. But if not, I looked online and the compression gauge I have is a cheapie. And I told Mama, I said, well, I think I've had it longer than we've been married, so that's a long time. So I just added some oil to the number 1 cylinder, and we'll go ahead and go around and check all of them with a little bit of oil and see if that improves our numbers. So let's go ahead and check number 1. Stand by. Let's see if that Schrader valve is working correctly. No, that Schrader valve is messed up too, so I'm going to have to check the video and see what our peak reading was. I had added some oil to cylinder number 1 and it was 155 PSI. Dry it was 148, so a little bit of improvement. The engine has over 90,000 miles on it. Let's go ahead and check cylinder number 3. Watch it, and you'll have to tell me, Battle, what it's at. Here goes, Battle. Let's check the video. We're about ready to test cylinder number 5. When we did it dry, it was only 92 PSI. And I have a feeling there's going to be no improvement. I put some oil in the cylinder, so we should be ready for a reading. It was 128 PSI wet and dry on cylinder number 3. So that tells me that the head gasket is blown between 3 and 5, which would be why the cheapy parts store radiator plastic tank exploded, but let's do what right looks like and keep testing. So here comes number 5, wet. And of course, here are the results of the compression test battle. You can see that cylinders 3 and 5 were losing compression through the head gasket, and I had difficulty with my compression gauge, the compression gauge I got from the auto parts store, and the battery in the 71. Definitely make sure that you have a good battery charger handy whenever you do a compression test. Make sure you leave a comment down below and tell me what you think of the compression test results and the Sooty spark plugs. I'll see you next time, Battle. Oh, that's essential trimmer for you.